Hello, everybody. It's so great to see you tonight. I'm Susan Blunt, one of the co-directors of Neighbors on Call, and Becca Zirkin, my co-director, is here too. Neighbors on Call, also known as NOC, is an all-volunteer grassroots group with a very specific focus, that is electing Democrats to the state legislature. And we do that by talking to voters at their doors. NOC works closely with the Democratic Party and the Democratic candidates, but we are a separate organization. We hope you're still flying high over North Carolina Democrats' successes in the last week's elections. We sure are. But now, since many of you may be new to North Carolina or just new to politics, let's review some basics first. At the state level, here are the current power dynamics in our three branches of government. Our state in recent years has voted about 50-50 Democrat and Republican. For instance, in the 2020 presidential election, of all the red states, North Carolina was the closest to giving Biden the win by 1.3 points. We elected a Democratic governor in 2020 and now need to elect a new governor in 2024 due to term limits. But in our North Carolina General Assembly, that is the NCGA, Republicans currently hold a supermajority by exactly one seat in each chamber. So they're able to override the governor's veto. In 2024, all seats in the NCGA are up for election. Tonight, we're going to talk about which ones are competitive in 2024 and what it will take to break the supermajority. After the 2030 census, the NCGA will draw new maps. Yes, new maps again. The state, the state Supreme Court was majority Democrat until 2022, but now it is majority Republican. The newly appointed Justice Allison Riggs will be running for the only open seat in 2024. We can pick up more seats in the court in 2026, and in 2028, we can take the majority back on the court. Also, we want to make sure everybody's familiar with these terms that you will hear tonight. HD stands for House District, and tonight we're talking about the state legislature, not about House seats in the U.S. Congress. SD stands for Senate District, also for the state legislature. And this D+2 or R+2 business, that is to indicate districts that favor Democrats or Republicans by a 2 percentage point in the area. So now I will turn it over to Becca.
Hi, I'm Becca Zirkin. Here's what you can expect during our program tonight. We are going to hear from our panelists about what we can hope to accomplish with these maps, what might happen with lawsuits, and specifically which districts in the state Senate and state House are competitive in 2024. And then we will have time for Q&A. We have a very wide audience tonight, which is awesome. So we are taking a look at where the competitive opportunities are in the state legislature across the whole state. And we'll all be working in tandem, of course, to break the supermajority next year. Also, we will post the recording of this meeting and the slide deck on our website tomorrow, so you can always get another look at it. And one last note, soon we're going to close the chat to focus on our speakers, and we will open it back up when we get to the Q&A at the end. So now let's welcome our guest. Dr. Kimberly Hardy is the second vice chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party. She is a tenured professor of social work at Fayetteville State University. Welcome. So glad to have you. Sydney Batch represents State Senate District 17 in Wake County. She's a family law attorney and a child welfare advocate, and she now serves as the Senate Deputy Democratic Leader. Welcome, Senator Batch. So good to see you. And Representative Ashton Clemmons. She represents House District 57 in Guilford County. She was a teacher, a school principal, and an assistant superintendent, and she is now the House Deputy Democratic Leader. Welcome, Representative Clemmons. We're so excited to have all three of you here. Thank you for being here. We're going to start with you, Dr. Hardy. So first, I think you have some news from NCDP headquarters. So let's start with that.
So we do have, so hi, everybody. As usual, thank you to the ladies of Neighbors on Call. You all, Becca, Susan, you all are amazing. Your whole team, Patience, all of you are amazing. And I'm always honored to get an invitation to join you all for anything. So thank you for this invitation. We do have some exciting news. We have a new executive director, and he might be on here, but there's so many people I don't even know.
He is.
But
He's
he
here.
is okay. So
Yes.
good. So Keon is our new executive director, and he's going to pop on and say a few things. But I do want to. I got a little bit of a tiny bio for him because I don't want to do the talking. I want you all to meet him, but he's fabulous. It took us a long time to get just the right person, and he was well worth the wait. He's actually from Nevada, but he worked there in 2018 and 2020 before moving into work for the DCCC in 2022. Before this job, he was a state program director at the AFL-CIO. He's an alum of UNLV in Vegas, and he has 2 cats that he loves very much. So I would like to give my new executive director, Keon, an opportunity to say hello to everybody. He's muted.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Hardy, and thanks everybody for having me here tonight. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I wanted to just introduce myself and say how thrilled I am to be here working in this cycle here in North Carolina. I think this is a very exciting state. I think that we have a lot of room to try innovative and new tactics and really make sure that we are squeezing out every vote from every corner of the state. I really share the chair's vision of rural outreach, youth outreach, and making sure that we are, reaching out to a lot of historically marginalized communities and really doing culturally competent outreach. And, I feel very strongly that we have, even though the maps might not be perfect, and, hopefully there's some movement on that soon. But I think that we still have a pretty clear path to victory. We can break the supermajorities and give our next Democratic governor the power of the veto. And I think with the amount of attention that we're getting here this cycle from the top of the ticket and from some of our national committee partners, we are looking forward to a lot of investment, and we're hoping to surprise a lot of folks in a good way this year. So I'm really looking forward to working with each of you. I can drop my email in the chat as soon as the chat opens up, and I look forward to speaking with as many of you as I can. And I just wanted to thank everybody. Everybody's been so welcoming and so open and so candid, and I couldn't think of a better place to be this cycle. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Keon. I appreciate you. He only got the request from me about 3 hours ago. And he's like, yes, I can make it there. I can be there. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. If you email him, just know he has been getting inundated. So just give him a minute to get back to you. Everyone has been very excited to welcome him. So he will respond, though. I promise that much. Okay. What else you want me to go over?
Okay,
Becca?
we have questions for you. Well, first of all, Keon, welcome. So glad that you're here and can't wait to meet you in person. Very exciting. Thank you, Dr. Hardy, for that. So here are questions for you. Just starting with the big picture. What can we hope to accomplish with these maps next year? What can we hope for beyond that?
So I think that I think Tuesday's election gave us, not just here in North Carolina, but across the country, gave us a lot of hope, because we're always going to be super excited and positive about what the Democrats can do in North Carolina, but this showed folks that there really is a momentum shift. Republicans always overplay their hand when they get even the slightest bit of power, and people are pushing back against that on a lot of issues that they're using to divide folks and divide communities, and not even paying attention to kitchen table issues and using people's very personal issues to divide us and make people feel like there's no hope, but that's not true. And I think we got that message loud and clear across the state and across the country on Election Day. So we're very excited about it. I mean, the maps, again, like you said, are not perfect. They never really get all the way where we want them to go. And there may be some movement, like Keon said, about that. And we're hoping that if South Carolina and Alabama can get some sort of support from the U.S. Supreme Court, for example, then perhaps we can as well. So we'll see. But we're hoping to protect all of our incumbents, even the ones who are pretty vulnerable. We have some that we have to spend a little bit of extra time and support on, because they knew exactly what they were doing when they put some folks at risk, for example, like Terrence Everett and Diamond and Lindsay Prather. Like those are some seats that we really have to work hard to keep our incumbent in there on the House side. And we have some seats that we're hoping to flip, and we think we can pick some things up. And if we can get back the seat that Tricia Cotham stole from us in this last election cycle, then we feel like we have a really good, strong way to get to breaking that supermajority on the House and Senate side. So this is Max, everyone. I apologize. He's a distraction. I'm so sorry. I did not know he was going to get up there. But we do believe that we can break the supermajority. We have a path forward. We're upset with the maps, but we're not demoralized by them by any means. And so we also want to make sure that we ramp up voter engagement between now and November, so that when it's time for GOTV, those efforts will be a lot easier. And some of the ways in which we're doing that include reaching out to historically marginalized groups. So I don't know how many of you know it. If you're not following me on social, you might not know this, but I'm in the process. I'm almost at the halfway point of a 30-county rural North Carolina tour to focus on re-engaging African-American voters who did not vote in the last 2 election cycles. Just in the first 9 counties I visited, there were over 100,000 African-American men and women who were registered Democrats and didn't vote in 20 and 22. And those are very, very important votes when you consider that Sherry Beasley lost her run for Chief Justice by only 401. So, we need to remember that those voters in those rural spaces, their issues matter, their voices and votes matter. And so we're going to try to run someone in every seat for the House and the Senate, to the extent possible, and we're going to fight really hard to protect the ones that we have. And we do think we have some pickup spots there as well that we can so we can win back our General Assembly.
That would be amazing. So do you think that by 2030, is that a plan that we should be looking ahead toward with these maps?
Absolutely. So we're not just focused on this next election cycle. We did a lot of good, really hard work with the municipal elections, for example, in 23. We went out and recruited folks to run, and then we went and supported them to as much as we could, because we want to start building a bench of folks at the local leadership level to eventually move them up into state House and state Senate seats and beyond. We just want to make sure that we're remembering that those folks who are at the local level are just as important, and sometimes they get overlooked. Midterm elections, people don't really pay a lot of attention to if there's not someone high profile at the top of a ticket that year. And then in a presidential election, it's easy to not see them as well. So we're being very intentional around focusing on municipal elections, because when the next election cycles come, these are the folks who will have received a lot of training and support, and they really cut their teeth on leadership at the local level. We can move them up to the state House and state Senate. So for us, this is a long-term proposition. We're hoping that once we get a supermajority of our own in the House and the Senate, we keep the governor's mansion blue, we get our Council of State back, we get our Supreme Court back, then we can actually draw fair maps, which will help us put people in place for the long haul. So we are definitely not doing one cycle to the next, and we're not just focused on top of ticket races. We're focused on every single candidate. I bring statewide candidates with me everywhere I go on my county tours, so that they can meet voters in these areas where no statewide candidates usually go. And while we're out there, we're actively recruiting for folks who run for seats either at the local or the state level. So our recruitment is a very big part of our plan for going forward, and hopefully we'll be able to win and get a supermajority. We'll make those maps a little bit more fair. We're also focusing on our judicial races too. We've been giving a lot of attention to that. Justice Riggs is actually one of the folks that comes out with me. Carolyn Thompson's going to come out with me to Bladen County on Thursday. So, we're making sure to get our statewide candidates out there, but also our judges, because folks just don't seem to understand until it's almost too late just how important these races are. They don't get the same level of attention, generally speaking, from the electorate, but they're absolutely getting that attention from us so that we can start winning seats back and make the courts more fair and more balanced. And so that justice is not just for some of us, but for all of us. So we have a plan that started when we first got here and is going to keep going long before all of us are out of office. So yeah, we're not just doing it for the short term. We have a plan that gets us all the way to 2030. One of the things we're also doing is around regional organizing directors, but I could touch on that if there's a question about on the ground stuff as volunteers. But from the 30,000 foot view that we have, recruitment at every level, focusing on supporting our incumbents, recruiting folks to try to flip some seats that we believe are winnable. And that's a path forward now and for the future.
I'm sure I speak for many people and everyone in the audience when I say that's music to our ears to hear all of that. And yes, I do have a question about the feet on the street. One other question before that, though. You touched on lawsuits and how there's some reason to be hopeful because of what's happening in other states. Just so we can have realistic expectations. Is it likely that there'll be lawsuits filed about these maps? And then is it possible, likely, not likely that they would impact 2024, or should we sort of prepare ourselves for a longer timeline than that?
So there's some stuff that's sort of internal and not yet ready for public consumption. I know that sounds terrible, but there's some stuff I just can't say yet right now. But I will say that with the makeup of the state Supreme Court, the way that it is right now, challenges to these maps, at least for the state House and the state Senate, if they happen, who knows, right? I mean, it is just, the court is just unbearably unfair right now. They've walked back things this year that they only put in place last year, as we know, with the voter ID and all this. And, you've got the 747 and 749, which are being challenged, and our hopes are that we'll be successful there. We don't know yet with the congressional challenges in terms of any sort of lawsuits there. But the good news, like I said, is if those are contested, at least that's federal, and we'll be able to hopefully get some relief from the U.S. Supreme Court. But I can tell you that it's a yes and for us. Yes, if we're going to do lawsuits, or if lawsuits are going to come up and we can support the challenge or be the challengers, then we'll do that, because we're always going to try to find a way to make this look more fair so that people in North Carolina, their voices actually matter and are not watered down by this gerrymander. This is the only way that they can win. But we're also... So the and of that is, and we're going to fight with the maps that we have as if there's no successful challenge. I've been telling folks when I go out that the lines on the map are not more important than the lines at the ballot box. And so it's very important to us that we make sure that we get every voter out, because we can win these seats. And so part of that means that we need to have really good, strong candidates running for these seats, supporting them along the way through finances, through volunteer support, and through state party efforts to support them as well. Everything from getting them out in front of voters to helping them with their websites. Like we're doing what we can to be supportive of folks who are running, and continuing to recruit good candidates to run for 26 and 28 and 30. But it is, so we're going to try to fight back because this is the right thing to do. These maps are unjust and unfair because it's the only way they know how to win. They are cowards. They don't have any ideas that voters would vote for, and they know that. And so what they have to do is they have to cheat. So there will probably be challenges. Again, with the way our courts are made up, it's hit or miss whether or not we'll have any justice there. So in the meantime, we're also going to do everything we can on the ground to ensure that we make a difference with, even if these are the maps that we're stuck.
And just, you mentioned 747 and 749, and just for folks who didn't follow what those are, can you just briefly say what those bills mean and what the challenge is?
Yeah, so they call 747 the jumbo jet of voter suppression. And it is that. These are the ones. And so 747 and 749 are basically voter suppression bills. They have changed the makeup of the Board of Elections. They have gotten rid of the 3-day extension beyond election day for mail-in votes to arrive. So now they have to be there by the time the polls close. It's every single thing that they can do to think of in order to win without having to actually have ideas that speak to the issues of North Carolina voters and families. So they're horrible bills. We're still fighting those. But we're also working, again, it's a yes and for us all the time. So if we fight them and we're not successful and we don't win them, then our plan B is to just keep pushing through and find good people to be on, like the state board of election, county board of elections and things of that nature. But they are basically voter suppression bills that are terrible. And I can put links in the chat when the chat opens up for everybody who's not familiar with them to take a look. I think it's ironic that they haven't attended to 748, which is the bill that would make someone like Trisha Cotham have to step down because she changed her party affiliation in the middle of her term. So they jumped right over 748 to go into 749. But that's okay. When we win back the House and the Senate, we will be able to attend to 748 in due course. So yeah, but those are voter suppression bills that are just awful. And we're trying to fight back on those.
Thank you for that. Okay, last question for the moment. So what do you want us to know as foot soldiers? Prepare us for what you need us to do next year. Precinct organizing meetings will come in late February, so probably you'll have a lot more to tell all of us local Democrats then. But tell us what you can about what you want from us.
So as pertains to precinct organizing, I'll start there actually, because Jonah Garson, who's our first vice chair, Jonah is a champion of the organizing team. He has put together a team of folks. There is this belief for some folks that once the precinct organizing period has ended for county conventions, that if your precinct isn't organized right now, then it doesn't get organized at all. And that's not true. And so he's doing a wonderful job with his team, with Sarah O'Brien and her folks from county to county. Like, they're doing a really great job of going around and making sure that we get as many precincts organized. We're trying to get as many done by the end of the calendar year as possible. And then we'll start that process again. We want folks to be in the process of organizing all the time. And I say that because this work is ongoing. A lot of things that we hear from voters is that we only show up when it's 2 weeks before an election cycle. And that is voter turnout. Voter engagement happens long before that and has to be consistent. So if you're a part of an organization like Neighbors on Call, that's awesome, but also join your county party, start, organizing your precinct if it isn't already, because we're going to need those, I like what you said, feet on the street. I love that. We're going to need those feet on the street when it comes time to get out there and start engaging voters, as well as doing voter turnout. We are hiring a bunch of what we call RODs, or regional organizing directors. And our goal is to put 14 of them on the ground across the state. I think we are, and I'm going to look at Keon to nod at me. Have we hired our third one now? And so we're putting them in there. They're paid folks. They work for NCDP. And the goal is for them to start creating in their region a volunteer pool of folks who are going to support us in engagement and outreach efforts. And then when the coordinator comes in, it's a seamless transition because we'll already have a well-oiled machine on the ground that can work with them. So they're not coming in and trying to invent the wheel. They're just rolling along with the one that we already have. So we would highly recommend that folks, if your precinct isn't organized, let's get that done. You can contact us for support on that. If it is organized, start doing things on the ground and in the community to engage with voters and get them pulled back in. It doesn't have to be, I say all the time, we have to be Democrats to our neighbors every day. And so not just during election season. So engaging with voters as neighbors and constituents first, and then voters when it's election season is very important. So organize your precinct, get involved with your county chair. And we also have the auxiliary organizations that you can join, which are easy on-ramps for folks who want to get involved in party politics, but don't necessarily know where's a good entry point for them. So everything from Young Dems and College Dems to the African American Caucus and the LGBTQ Caucus, there's a lot of different ways to get involved with the party to help out and start making connections with folks, because GOTV is a much easier lift when you're asking your neighbors to go vote instead of just strangers. So Yeah, and so whenever we're doing something, show up with us. And if you ever need any of us, I also like to say talking to one of us is talking to all four of us. And if you ever want us to come to your community and do anything and be supportive of your efforts, we will absolutely do that. So those are some of the things that you can do to start being helpful now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And it is so exciting, everything that's going on. Thank you so much for all that.
Not a problem.
We're going to talk about the Senate districts and then the House districts. So Senator Batch. Hello.
Hi,
Before-
everybody.
Hi. Before we dive into the specific districts, is there anything you want to tell us about the big picture?
Big picture is that the Senate actually has a path to breaking the supermajority by and we only need one seat, right? So we'll, of course, need to hold the seats that we have. And we've got a couple of open seats as we walk through the map with what we have to do. But overall, we just need one, and we have 3 competitive seats that I'm going to talk about in detail. And so really excited about where we are in the path forward. And I think what Dr. Hardy said earlier on is this: we know that we did not get into this mess overnight, and we're not going to get out of it overnight. This is not a one cycle race. This is actually us investing cycle after cycle after cycle. And so that's what we've worked together on in the House and in the Senate, really seamlessly with regards to a top Democratic message that's been coming out. It's also helpful that my bestie, Representative Clemmons, also happens to be deputy leader in the House as well. We have a really great leadership team in both chambers. And so we are working together, even in all of our recruiting efforts, to make sure that we have the best candidates to run in all the seats.
Awesome. So you said 3, and so we may have to do just some quick little.
No, I can
Flipping
talk
on the
about all the
slides.
ones that you have.
Okay.
It's fine. I will emphasize the top ones that we are looking at and then address any of the other ones. And I'll explain why I said another competitive seat when we get there.
Okay, so you may need me to flip through slides if you want me to skip something, but just so everyone understands, that Neighbors on Call prepared the slides based on Senator Batch's and Representative Clemmons' guidance. So any errors in the slides are definitely the responsibility of Neighbors on Call, and we'll just work together right now to make it work. So this is the first one that, well, this is sort of the overview. So you said win one, and I think that's included in the 6 competitive seats here, but maybe you could just explain about these.
Yeah, so let me explain. So right now we have 4 seats. We have 20 seats in the Senate, right? So we need to hold the 4 that we have. And then we actually have other seats that are actually competitive, 3 other seats, in my opinion, that we can play in. We only need to win one of those. So we have to hold the 4 seats that are now. 1 is open, and then 2 are technically open. We'll get into that in a minute. And then, of course, 2 are holds. And so that's where we're at. So we do have 6 competitive seats, and of course they're safe. There are 27 safe Republican seats, not surprising, 17 safe Democratic seats. And then that's where you get the 6 seats in between. I also emphasize to you all that unlike, and Representative Clemmons will speak about this, the Senate districts are so large that they had it was harder to actually manipulate them than they did the House. And so the House actually has a lot of competitive seats as well. And so we're both in a really good position to be able to, of course, find ourselves with a lot more seats. Fortunately for the Senate, you just had the set clusters. And so we have the ability to, of course, take advantage of a really good, hopefully, presidential campaign where they're going to pour a lot of money into the state, and that hopefully that will benefit all of us.
Awesome. All right. So if you don't like the sequence, the dogs. Then just let me know and I'll skip ahead.
Nope, I I'm good to go with whatever you do, Becca. Because Keon, what you should know is that the best organization in the entire state with regards to organizing and making sure that they actually get volunteers to come back time and time again is Neighbors on Call. They're phenomenal, and all the people on this call are phenomenal, and we should actually just have them run the damn coordinated campaign in the state of North Carolina, if you ask me. But that's not what they want to do. So with regards to the Safe Protect, this is Senator Candy Smith. This is a Democratic seat, but we have to protect it because we all know that, to what Dr. Hardy said, is that we're losing a lot of votes in Eastern North Carolina because we're not talking to people and we're only going to their doors last minute, not engaging with them, et cetera. And so this is a seat that we just need to make sure that we watch. Her race was a lot closer than it should have been last cycle. And so it's a Democratic seat, but also we know that the trends for Eastern North Carolina have been going and breaking away from us. And so it's just a lot of investment and time and energy that we need to put into that district. Senator Smith obviously has really good relationships in that district and came from the House, and I served with her in 2019, and then this is her first term in the Senate, and so she should be perfectly fine and safe, but it's definitely something that we need to pay attention to.
So, and just to clarify, that wasn't that was in that little bar,
Yes.
not part of the 6. It's
Correct.
included over in the 17. Okay.
And then you all know that Mary Wills Bodie's district, Senator Bodie, who you guys have canvassed for last cycle in her first term, she's definitely one of the incumbent seats where it became the most competitive. So as our incumbent protects, she's the one that we have to hold on to and to make sure that she is reelected. They did everything and anything in order to try and make it as Republican as possible. And so that's one that we're going to have significant investment in. Fortunately, again, she's in a position where she has, of course, a voting record on some really strong issues. And you guys know what we've had to deal with this year with regards to having to take some challenging positions, but she's actually done a lot of work in her district. And I think this is absolutely one that we have to hold on to and that we have to invest a lot of money and a lot of canvassing, especially in the northern Wake part where the vast majority of that population is. Granville's a little harder, as you guys know, in order to canvass because it's more rural, but that's when you go ahead and shift resources to mail and to digital, but that we focus as much as we can on high density and populations in northern Wake County and in some of the areas like Oxford and Granville.
Okay, thank you. All right, this one is it's a 2-parter, just so you can tell the backstory first.
Yeah, so we are in the unique situation of, many of you have been with me since 2018 and have canvassed for me and helped me through all of my 3 hellacious races, and I can't thank you enough. Bittersweet for me, though, is that they decided that I was told by their caucus director that they don't believe that they can beat me in the seat and that they were going to just draw my precinct out of Southern Wake County and give me a completely different district. In order to do that, they actually had to take Senator Grafstein's district of 13 and chop it up into 3 different districts. And so I got some of hers, Leader Blue got some of hers, and she was double bunked with Senator Chaudhary. And interestingly enough, the double bunk in the Senate happened with the only Indian American member and the only Jewish and gay member in the Senate. And she's actually the only Jewish member in the entire legislature as of right now. And she would say, if she were on here, actually, she's the only out gay person in the Senate. And I think that it's very accurate. So she is now in a position where they basically moved me into what you see in that blue area, which is the batch safe seat. And they said, we'd rather just put up with you because if you stay in the district, we're not going to be able to win. I asked to be put back in the district and for Senator Grafstein's seat to be given back to her. They refused. So in a week and a half time, Senator Grafstein just decided that she wasn't going to allow the bullies to win. And she decided to pick up and put her house on the market and has relocated into what is now previously District 17, now, of course, Senate District 13. And I wholeheartedly support her. I've already openly endorsed her and I'm working really, really tirelessly for every single thing they did. So they might regret taking me, cutting me off of my leash and being able to be in a position to be able to help. But if I stave off, hopefully I won't have a primary, but if I'm in a situation where I'm in a safe seat, I can dedicate all my time to Southern Wake County and make sure that she and the person that's running in 37 are the individuals that come out on top.
Well, Neighbors on Call will be there too.
That you guys will.
All right, next. Oops, I moved the wrong thing, sorry. There, now you can see it.
Right, 42. So that is in Mecklenburg County, where Senator Hunt is actually running for lieutenant governor. And so that is a vacated seat. We actually have a really dynamic woman who is running in that seat. We already had a conversation. Her name's Woodson. I said, you know, you gotta probably do what I did, which is everybody thought that it was being very sexist for the Board of Elections to put Mrs. Sydney Batch on the ballot. What people don't realize is that I intentionally did that because I wanted people to know that I was a woman. I actually told her the exact same thing. And so she's fantastic, has done a lot of work already in the community, and she has done a lot of work with domestic violence victims and streamlined a lot of the process for victims of domestic violence to get the services that they need. And so she is running in that open seat, has already announced and has already started raising money. So we're really excited. That is actually one of the safer seats that we have to hold. So we don't believe that caucus is going to have to invest a lot. I think she's going to run a strong campaign to be able to raise the money. And so they've made it as competitive as they can. But the reality of the situation is that's still a Democratic lean seat.
Awesome. All right, so now we get into the flips.
Yeah, the flips. So unfortunately for Senator Lisa Barnes, who actually is a farmer, they own a farm, and you know, Nash County's gotten a lot of bad press, and so is she. She actually had one of the migrant workers on her farms die, and there's been a lot of talk with regards to work conditions, et cetera. She's also one of the individuals who is on the SB 20 abortion ban bill. And so she's really vulnerable right now. And this is actually a 51 and some change % Democratic seat. They could not save her because of the way that the Senate districts were clustered initially. And so she's in a unique situation where she's going to be fighting for her life. She is independently wealthy and can put a lot of resources into the race on her own and self-fund. But you still have a hard time trying to combat those numbers, and also just a lot of bad press that she's received from the positions that she's taken. She's not anywhere close to being a moderate individual. And so this is the seat that actually is the most likely to flip for us in the Senate, and would give us the 21 seats that we need in order to break the supermajority.
All right.
I say that this is a seat that we need to, of course, pay attention to, because it's absolutely flippable. It is an area that if we actually engage with people, going back to what Dr. Hardy said, if we engage with people of color in that district, which is overwhelmingly a high percentage minority district, we would be in a much better position. But everyone says, you can't beat Danny Britt. You can't beat him. Stop wasting your time and wasting your energy. Well, we don't know that unless we have a candidate. So we're working really hard in the Senate to actually find somebody to run against him, because we don't think that anyone should be unopposed, especially when you're in a situation where you're in a district that we can flip. No one has the option to vote for anyone else if no one stands up to do it. So one, if you know anybody in Scotland or Robeson County, please go ahead and send me a message when the chat is opened directly, or find me otherwise. But we do think that this is a seat where this is not even one that we are banking on, but it's one that we could just pick up, and it's trending, you know, in an area where they say we would win it if he wasn't in that seat. I argue we can win it now with him in that seat. We just need to have someone brave enough to put their name on the ballot and to do the work.
That would be amazing. Thank you for looking for that person.
That would put us at 23. Oh, Michael Lee.
Michael Lee.
Yeah. We all know Michael Lee is in the unique position of making promises during the election cycle where we couldn't get him on record stating that he wasn't going to restrict abortion. He wasn't going to ban it. We were just being hyperbolic in our talk during the election. Well, if you let some people talk, they'll dig themselves a hole. And he did that exact thing during our debate on SB 20, the abortion ban. He actually got on record for the first time we have now to be able to run against him that he believes life begins at conception. Right? They knew that this session did not go well. He was also behind the Parents' Bill of Rights. He's been behind every single controversial cultural war bill that we have in the legislature, and has had his name on that. I don't know what they were thinking, but I think that they overplay their hand, because what you see is that notch that is white is actually an area in downtown Wilmington that is majority Black and historically Black neighborhoods and communities that they ended up drawing into Brunswick County. And that is how they ended up making this race harder for us as a Democratic flip than Nash County. So it's absolutely something that we can go ahead and win. Right before I got on here, I was actually on a call with a candidate that I hope will agree to run in that district. And if that candidate runs, we are going to give Michael Lee a run for his money, regardless of how they went ahead and cracked the vote and removed all of the Black people out of downtown Wilmington. We know that the path to us getting to a majority by 2030 is through New Hanover County. And the great part is it's only trending bluer with every single cycle. And so we're in the unique position to be able to, of course, get a really great candidate now to take it in this cycle. And if it's not this cycle, it's certainly be the next. So it's a lot of investments and a lot of work on the ground with relationship building in that district. But we do think that it's an absolute possibility to flip this year or next year, rather.
So this, I should summarize all the things you just said. Just to reflect, is there anything else you want to add before we talk about the House?
No, I think that that's a really good picture of that. And we're working really tirelessly in both of our chambers to make sure that every single Republican has someone that they have to go ahead and worry about. I can tell you that a lot of them are snowflakes. And so the more money that we have and the more people that we have running against every single member, they will keep their money to, of course, make sure that they win their seat, and they will not spend it on these 6 competitive seats that we need to, of course, invest our dollars in and our sweat equity in. So it's, and the other great part is, and Representative Clemmons will go through those maps, a lot of these are overlays in competitive House and Senate races, where, of course, your genius and your ability to invest in those districts is actually just going to be compounded with regards to energy and sweat equity, because we're going to have more bang for our buck.
Awesome. Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Exactly. Thank you so much. All right, let's take a look at the House. Representative Clemmons.
I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Before we dive into the specifics, is there anything you want to tell us about the big picture?
I just think you all are awesome. It's really, really encouraging to get on. And I'm sorry, you can hear my twins in the background. Ironically, I came up to the 3rd floor and they somehow ended up here with me anyway. So, it is so encouraging to see. I just texted our campaign leadership team, and I was like, there are 200 people on the Neighbors on Call. So it's really encouraging. Thank you for all you have continued to do. And we continue to be grateful to you. And just like Sydney said, I mean, obviously we wish that we had stuck with the maps that we originally passed in the House. We believe it's unconstitutional that we are in different maps, since ours were passed as they were meant to be through a compromise process of legislation. But with that said, we have lots of reasons to be optimistic that we will be in a better place January 2025 than we are right now. And we definitely believe by 2030 we have a path to getting to the majority in the North Carolina House. And so we will be working tirelessly between now and then to get there. And the most important thing is that they are hoping with these maps that people like you and me and Sydney and all of us feel like it's hopeless. They are counting on that being true. And so I know Neighbors on Call does the hard work of making sure we all feel frustration and anger, but also use that to keep moving. And that's what is keeping me going, is that the kids and the environment, all the things we care about, can't have us being hopeless. So I'm excited to talk a little bit about where we are with these districts, and then to dig in even further as time goes on with you guys.
Awesome. Well, so tell us if this accurately reflects how you see things and just what this means.
Yes, this does. So in the General Assembly, 49 is the in the House, 49 is the magic number that we need to be at to be out of the super minority. And as you see, there are 45 seats that are safe Democrat, 65 seats that are safe Republican, Notably, Governor Cooper won 55 seats in this map. Governor Cooper won 55 seats, so we can do this. And if we know 49 is our benchmark for 2024, we believe we can get to a handful of seats above that in 2024, and by 2026 and 2028, most definitely. So 45 safety, there are 10 that we're going to be fighting over hard in the North Carolina House, and really all 10 of those actually Governor Cooper won. So we have lots of belief that we can get to where we need to be.
Oh, okay. So the 10 are not in any particular order, and so apologies in advance for that.
Okay, HD5 is in northeastern North Carolina, as you guys can see. This is where we lost Representative Howard Hunter, and we are, fingers crossed, hoping that he will be rejoining us in the North Carolina House. This area we are also optimistic about because you all have followed, I know, the congressional map as well. All of this HD5 is in Don Davis's congressional district, which is the only competitive congressional district that we will have. So we are excited. This is, of all of our districts, the place where there are the most potential voters who are not turning out. So it's really important for organizing here in northeastern North Carolina.
Okay.
Okay, you guys know this area well. We lost this seat and should not have in 2022. This was like a surprise that we did not keep this seat. So this seat is Granville, all of Granville County and Vance County. We have a candidate, Brian Cohn, that we are very, very excited about. He is an Oxford commissioner. Mary Wills has been helping us with trying to find recruitment here. This district changed from what we thought it was going to be in redistricting, so we had a different candidate, but we are really excited about who is running. And the incumbent, Representative Sossaman, is part of the Freedom Caucus, so we have lots of opportunity to show how he's extreme and that it's not right for this county or from North Carolina. So we are excited about this potential for sure. We started with 2 good ones.
Great. And Neighbors on Call was just canvassing in Granville on Sunday for Mayor Wills Bodie.
I love it. Yes. So this will definitely continue to be a place where there's a lot of overlap for sure. Okay. This one you all know more than I do. I don't need to tell you much except that they made it worse. They've tried to make it, I know you all follow and love Terrence like we all do. So they certainly made this as difficult as possible. With that said, it is very, very winnable. We know that in suburban areas in particular, I mean, we just saw this across the country last week, 2 weeks ago. Suburban areas are women and men, but mostly women are angry and showing up. And so that is going to be true in the Northern Wake County district for sure, the Mecklenburg competitives, and for the Southern Wake district. So we feel like this is harder than it has been, but because of a lot of the good work of Representative Everett and you all in particular, we will be moving forward and feel like we can retain this one.
Excellent.
Also, one that you know very well and have been working on for several districts. You all probably know this, but Representative Pare is running for Congress. And so this will be, there won't be an incumbent, which is good. Incumbency usually has a 1 to 3 percentage point protection to it. And so we have a woman, she's not officially announced, but a woman that's been very involved in early childhood work, which I'm excited about, that I believe will be running here in HD 37. Again, we feel like the momentum of 2024, the issues that are going to be talked about in our state, we didn't talk about this yet, but you already know we have the #1 governor's race in the country. Biden has already staked out North Carolina as one of his top 3 battlegrounds. So there is just going to be a lot of energy and money spent, and it's going to be in a lot of that is going to be in Don Davis's congressional district and then in these suburban urban areas, which will help us with this district clearances and the MEC district. So we are optimistic about this one.
All right.
Okay. This is another one that was a heartbreaker in the last cycle. And you guys went down there, right, Becca?
Neighbors on Call did not. County to county
Okay,
did. quite a
county
bit
to
work
county
there.
did. Yes, sorry. Yes, so county to county at the end of the cycle added Nash and Wilson as part of their work. Nash County, this is so Representative Chesser is the current representative. He beat one of our members, James Gaillard. We feel like, I mean, this district, as you can see, is most of Nash County, and we feel like with the combined efforts of the House, and then this is going to be, as Sydney said, an important opportunity for the Senate. And there are a lot of untapped voters in Nash and in Wilson County. So what we see when you look at the data of where there are people to be engaged, Northeastern North Carolina is our best area, and then this Nash Wilson kind of cluster, the counties around in South Central kind of Eastern North Carolina are next. So lots of opportunity to turn out voters here.
Okay, awesome.
Woo. Okay, Representative Fontenot, I know you guys are savvy, and so you have probably heard him somewhere along the way. He is quite the orator in the North Carolina House. This county is also very flippable for us, and we have a wonderful candidate, Dante Pittman, who is from Wilson County. He grew up there. His fiance, public school teacher, and a very active political family in Wake County. So they have lots that they're building on. He is already out knocking doors himself. So we are excited. He's young, energetic, excited, and I think he's really a good opportunity to re-engage some people in Wilson County. So we're excited about him and his candidacy.
Excellent.
Okay. This one, it was a brutal change for Lindsay, but I have to give her very full credit. I called her the day after the maps came out, and I was like, how are you doing? She was like, I am fired up and ready to beat them. That was her first response. So this district got significantly harder. It's probably a 15% swing. So she was like a Dem plus 7 or 8, and now she'll be in Trump probably 7 or 8. But you all know as well as I do that Buncombe County has a lot of people and resources, and they've already started as a county working to get the resources from across Buncombe County to be really focused on Lindsay's district. And she is working hard. She's already fundraising. She is very fired up, and I think taking it personally in a good way. So we will be working hard to protect her. And Lindsay has been an excellent addition to our caucus. She works at UNC Asheville, has an education background, very smart. So we plan on keeping her.
Excellent.
Oh, this is another one that has been, many of you probably know when Sydney and I came in 2018, this was flipped with Christy Clark, and then it has, John Bradford then won it again in 2020 and 2022. One great thing for us is that John Bradford is running for statewide office. He's running for state treasurer.
Oh.
So he won't be the incumbent, which is great. As I said, that has a couple of percentage points benefit. So that is great for us. Also, this area is trending our way by 2.5 to 3 percentage points every 4 years. And it was a 50-50 district in 2022. And you guys, awesome news is that Huntersville is in this district. They flipped the mayoral seat, which is now Christy Clark, who had lost her House seat, and every single seat on Huntersville flipped from a Republican to Democrat. So it was purely Republican to purely Democrat. And there was also some progress in Southern Wake County. So we are already talking to people that got organized around those local elections and trying to keep them engaged to help us with these House elections. So lots of good work here. We have 2 candidates in House District 98. Both are women. And, we will rally behind whichever of them ends up being there. But this is the most, to me, our best chance at this district that we've had in a while. So we're excited about this.
That news from Huntersville was so exciting.
It was so exciting.
So
and it was
exciting,
really cool because, we've watched Christy put herself out there and win and then put herself out there and lose. And now she's so excited. So it's been interesting and lovely to be part of her journey.
Awesome.
Okay, so this Diamond State and Williams is, as with the Senate, there is a theme that most of the districts all of the districts that they made harder are women. Diamond was our closest seat that we won in 2022, and they have made her seat much harder in 2024. With that said, she is in a part of the county that is trending our way. And so she is planning on running. She is also working hard. Diamond is a nurse and has 3 kids. She was on Harrisburg City Council. So we are rallying behind her. And, I think when we think, so we're obviously focused on 2024, but when we think about big picture 2026 and 2028, certainly 2030, Cabarrus County is one of those counties that is on everyone's radar because it is so rapidly growing and changing. So we will be fighting for it in 2024, and then it should, as long as we keep working hard, continue to move in our direction.
Amazing. And we know county to county has an opportunity to help with that, which we will be sharing in a minute.
Yay!
This is the last one.
Okay.
And it's a 2 first, so you can tell the backstory.
Okay. So
this is the setup.
Yes, this is what with the maps we're under right now. 112 is what Representative Cotham was elected in, which you all know as well as I do was a 60% Democratic seat. Representative Harris was obviously the most southern district. His seat was a mid-50 seat. And so that is how it was. And then you all can see this wonderful picture of gerrymandering that has been drawn to have Representative Cotham in as Republican as a seat as she can be in. And we are, there was also what feels to be a congressional district drawn for her. So we are just we're not sure what's going to happen with what she's going to run for, but it seems like they gave her options. So House District 105 is about a 51-49 seat. It will be very, very competitive. We have a candidate, and there's one other person that they may work out amongst the 2 of them who's going to be best for this district. Like I said, with the Wake, this district is very suburban, and so we're going to need women really to turn out and help us here. And so there's a little bit of in 105, there's a little bit of people are angry and want her out on one side, and on the other side, there's a lot of support for her and money for her that support her. So it's going to be interesting. So that is the new 105 district, which will be one of our most important districts.
Okay. So this should summarize all of the districts that you said. This is more for reference when people come back and look at the slides when we post them on our website, so you can see them all together. But this is the 10. And so as a reminder, we need to win 4 of these 10, right?
That's right.
We can do it.
We
So
can
there
make
was one that you didn't mention that I think a lot of us on the call probably want to hear about, which is Alamance County. You didn't mention it as one of your 2024 competitives. It's changed quite a bit. So can you just tell us like what changed and what that means?
Yes. So Alamance County is where I grew up. So it is, I know you guys have spent a lot of time here. I myself still am very connected to it. You can see what the big differences are here. They took it, so the reason it was more competitive was it had the Mebane kind of sprawl from Orange County, which is more progressive, and in the new map it just splits that up over the two.
And I should have said this was Ricky Hurtado's old district, just
That's
for
right.
people's reference.
Yep. So, you know, I think if we look at the 10 that we're focused on in 2024 to get forward, this district does not make the map. But when we look at the map for 2028 and 2030 to be in the majority, this district will be on that map. And the growth of Alamance County, both from Guilford, because that's where I live, you know, Toyota alone is hiring 3,500 people in the next 5 years, and that's not even including Boom, Supersonic, and all these other things. So we are growing rapidly in Guilford County. That part of that will be coming over, and then Mebane will just continue. Mebane, Graham, like it will just continue to become more from Orange County. So the population shifts are in our favor in Alamance County. I just think it's going to take more than just this 2 years to get to where we need to be. But the work you all have done is important and will continue to be important as we move forward.
Thank you for talking to us about that. So thank you both Representative Clemmons and Senator Batch for walking us through all the competitive 2024 competitive seats. And as Senator Batch mentioned, there are several regions with overlaps. So we just wanted to quick show you where those overlaps are, because that does give us a chance to work smarter, because we can be advocating for 2 candidates at the same time. So just quick walking through these. Senator Bodie's district 18, which is Northern Wake and Granville, overlaps 2 different competitive House districts that Representative Clemmons mentioned, both 32, which is the one we need to flip in Granville, and 35 in Northern Wake. Senate District 13 is that one in Southern Wake County where Senator Grafstein just moved to, and then House District 37 where Aaron Perret is not running again, and we really want to flip that one. And then this one has 3, if you count that little bit of Nash County. So Senate District 11 has that bit of Vance that's also part of House District 32 and all of House District 25 and that little tip of House District 24 in the corner of Nash. And those are all flips. So that's very exciting that those are all overlaps. Before we move on to a quick call to action and then some Q&A, and we do want to end the meeting at 8:45. Is there anything that Dr. Hardy, Senator Batch, Representative Clemmons, that you want to add to what's been said so far? All right, then I'm going to pass it on to Isabel Geffner, one of the NOC chapter leaders. She's going to give us a quick but very important call to action, and then we will do Q&A.
Woo.
All right, Isabel.
Thank you, Becca. What an incredibly exciting moment this is, and a clear reason for us to be hopeful. And of course, to work hard and win. And in order to do that, we've got to be together. We have had an incredible record of being a community of activists. And before we undertake what's in front of us in 2024, we're going to keep that community spirit going with a series, one night, December 14th, of a party with a purpose. It's taking place, as you can see on the screen, at specific locations in Chapel Hill, Durham, Holly Springs, Pittsburgh, Wake Forest, and a group on Zoom as well. This is going to be an incredible opportunity for us to be together, to have a shared spirit. In fact, at the Holly Springs Party with a Purpose, Senator Grafstein will be there in person. She's also going to be part of the Zoom experience. These are free, informal, incredibly warm, wonderful gatherings. We do it every year. We hope you will sign up and join us. And again, hear also from Senator Grafstein in her new district. So be sure to sign up for one of those opportunities for parties with a purpose. Come the turn of the year, Neighbors on Call gets right back to canvassing, initially in the two sort of that double hit canvas opportunity in Senate District 18 and House District 35. I just want to say I am the Neighbors on Call matchmaker, among other things. And if you are new to canvassing, we know it can be scary for some folks. We always pair folks up with another canvasser. If you choose to be a silent canvasser and want someone to do the talking, we match you up with a canvas mentor so that you get the ropes easily, calmly, without any qualms. We make it a really fun experience, I promise you. And again, if you want to be a silent canvasser, that's great. If any of you out there are experienced not canvassers and you want to put some like good words of encouragement in the chat for other folks who may be new to this, please do so now so that my words aren't the only words of evidence that it's fun and easy and engaging with Neighbors on Call. Also want to point out that C2C, which is an incredible organization, and Sarah O'Brien, hello, I love you. I'm sending you my love from here. Diamond Stanton Williams, who's been with us actually at Neighbors on Call events before. C2C is sponsoring a phone bank for her on Thursday, January 11th, another wonderful way to have support for our incumbents and make sure that we reelect them. Neighbors on Call is here to build community together and to really make a difference in 2024. We can do it.
Thank you, Isabel. All right, please go sign up. Paul already put those links in the chat, and we're sure you have a lot of questions. We can squeeze in a couple before we end, and so I'll pass it to Patience Vanderbush, who is another chapter leader, and she's going to lead the Q&A.
Okay. People have just begun to put questions in. Okay, Dr. Hardy, will the Democratic Party commit to an independent redistricting commission once we become the majority party?
We would love to have this. We would love for the maps to be drawn fairly and without bias. So, I mean, although this isn't something we can sort of do on our own, we absolutely would advocate for this. Yes.
And I'll just add that every member of both of our chambers signed on to an independent redistricting bill. For the first time ever, we ran 5 focused bills to show what Democrats in the North Carolina General Assembly stand for, and we ran them in both chambers, and our members signed on. So every current member has signed on for independent redistricting.
Okay. Will the North Carolina Democratic Party and the state legislative races focus on reproductive justice and abortion?
Absolutely. I mean, what we do in the Senate is every opportunity that we can say abortion ban and SB 20, we say it, because we know that when we talk about reproductive rights and abortion, we're winning. And that's the reason why the Republicans don't want to talk about it. I do think that we need to be nuanced in the message in some rural areas of the state. We can't just go ahead and just say every single person is going to see this as a issue that is going to be their #1 issue. But I think that's why you saw a lot of us win by larger margins than we were expected to win by, because we did talk about choice. So where it matters and where it makes sense, we need to go ahead and talk about it. I think what's more important is that we should talk about actually how they're going to ban abortion even further and how they're trying to actually take your birth control away as well. That is something that even Republican women think is a bridge that goes too far. And so we need to find and be really smart about having those conversations and figuring out how to nuance a issue that is extremely volatile for some. But what we do know is that contraception and the right to contraception is really important to damn near all women. And they want to make sure we're in a position in which we're talking about that.
Senator Batch, can you tell us who the candidate is running in Senate District 42?
42. Her name is Woodson, and her last name is, you would ask me that.
Bradley, Woodson
Thank
Bradley.
you, Woodson Bradley. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Dr. Hardy, how's the State Democratic Party doing on field organizer recruitment and working with other grassroots groups?
So we have, like I said, we've hired our third of hopefully 14. We've actually been fundraising a great deal. We are today we had an officers meeting, and we are 27,000 short of raising $3 million so far for this cycle, which is far and away what our predecessors have raised at this point, which is not to cast aspersions on our predecessors, but just to say how much people are really investing in the state because they're excited about us right now. And so we're using those funds to recruit. If anyone knows anyone who wants to be a regional organizing director, we actually have the position up on the NCDP website. Please send them our way.
Okay, and this question could be answered by any of you. The largest party is neither Republican nor Democrat. How will you outreach to them?
I mean, being in a district that actually has a majority of voters that are unaffiliated, we do that every single time. They've got voting scores that you can identify whether or not somebody leans left or right. And so we look at those and we knock on those doors. The great part about Neighbors on Calls, we send you to the doors where people are happy in general to see you. And I, as the candidate, go to those doors to convince people as to why I don't have two horns, but maybe only one, right? I want to walk away from the door saying that I am not the devil, I am a unicorn, and it's someone that you can vote for. And that is why you guys are great, because it allows for candidates like myself over the last three cycles to really talk to those unaffiliated, and you all can then focus on getting other people to come out to vote and having really pleasant conversations at the doors.
Senator Batch and Representative Clemmons, is there overlap between Senate District 42 and any top House district in Mecklenburg County?
Yes, so Woodson, we had actually recruited to run against Trisha Cotham, but then when the maps came out, she ended up not being in the House district that we had recruited her for, but was in the Senate district. But she's not far, so a lot of the Trisha Cotham district is also in Senate District 42.
I apologize if I missed that one. We'll make sure to post it in the slides.
Okay. I'm going to hand it back to you, Becca.
I'm actually going to hand it back to Susan, who's going to see us out.
Excuse me, I lost my voice in this program. Okay, thanks so much, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Dr. Hardy. Thank you, Senator Batch and Representative Clemmons. Thank you so much for talking with us and for all you do to fight for justice for all of us every day. Thank you for everybody for coming. As President Obama said, we are the ones we've been waiting for. So we'll see you all out on the trail. Thanks so much. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Let's go. Good night, everybody.
Everybody, thank you so much for coming.